You have been working for 7 years with the clients. So how has language played a role?
In one-on-one conversations, right? I think language plays a very big role because ultimately the human experience, it does start with language. It's something so basic. We're learning it since we were kids, right?
For someone realizing how that language has shaped their scars, what's the safe first step to begin healing?
Write down everything that was said to you. That would be on one side. Pick 2-3 people you really trust who are unbiased, non-judgmental, kind. Ask them to describe you. And then write down the words that they use to describe you. And even on bad days, these words that people have told you will sort of come back.
Writing is such an important, I think, practice, right?
Yeah.
It's such an important tool. Every conversation we have, writing just comes up that, you need to write stuff.
Absolutely.
Write your thoughts. If there was one phrase or mindset you wish everyone listening would adopt after this episode, what would it be? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host and the founder of Zen India, Shashank. We've got a really important conversation lined up, all about how the words we use can either wound us or help us heal. कभी-कभी we say things as a force of habit या फिर emotions expressions के लिए. But every word has an impact. And to dive into this, I'm joined by someone who has been at the forefront of mental health conversations in India. Let us welcome Srishti, who's a psychotherapist and mental health advocate with 6 years of experience, working mainly with young adults and professionals through a trauma-informed lens. She has led India's biggest mental health festival, which is organized at AIMS, for the past 4 years, founded Words for Mental Health to spotlight the power of language, and has even conducted over 300 corporate trainings. She knows exactly how words play out in therapy rooms, boardrooms, and big public spaces. I'm so excited to have her here today. So, welcome to the show, Srishti.
Thank you for having me here, Shashank.
Awesome. So, let's start by letting our audience know you better. Would you please like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Srishti Bisht. I'm a practicing psychologist. It's been 6.9 years now since I've been in the field of mental health. I'm also a mental health advocate. I have a space called Words for Mental Health. It's a digital advocacy platform where we try to destigmatize chronic mental illnesses, chronic diseases. We try to speak up for caregivers and family members who are, just figuring it out one day at a time.
True.
With family members who might have severe issues. So that's the intention with which I started it around the pandemic. And currently I'm trying to plan a space where there is a peer support network for caregivers. So that's what we're trying to work on right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you have led the India's biggest mental health festival. And also, like you said, you have been working for 7 years with the clients. So how has language played a role, and I think today's episode is all around language. How does words impact your mental health and also your perception and also the perception of the people around you. So, we would like to know that, how the language plays a role in all these conversations that you have been had with the clients and also through leading one of the biggest mental health festival.
Okay. I think these are two opposite spaces, the festival.
True. Yeah.
Online spaces and then one-on-one conversations with clients. These are so diverse. On a platform like the Mental Health Festival, where you get to influence a lot of people, the way they think, and a lot of the conversations at the festival has also been about systemic issues, policy, and upskilling of mental health professionals, a lot of those diverse subjects. So then the language and the content that is shared there, it can influence the 800 plus mental health advocates or 1,000 mental health advocates that we host.
Yeah. So
there we are trying to inculcate all of those learnings in the future mental health professionals and the existing mental health professionals who are coming in in one-on-one conversations, right? I think language plays a very big role because ultimately the human experience, it does start with language. It's something so basic. We're learning it since we were kids, right? Starting from the humming of your mother when you're born, right? I think it's like one of the few ways a child starts recognizing the voice of the parents.
Right.
And and the child starts picking up and understanding, when my parent is regulated, when they are calmer, when they are dysregulated, when are they irritable, when are they snapping, right?
Yeah.
Or when are they just in a better space. So from a young age, we're really absorbing all of that. And we are also growing up in a culture. So the culture of our home, the culture of perhaps the communities that we belong to and identify as, and the space where we've grown up in, like, for example, if you've grown up in Noida, then the culture of Noida, the language of Noida, Delhi, NCR, all of that, it just imprints on you. You carry it everywhere you go.
The school you go to.
The school you go to,
Yeah.
your college,
True.
your workplace, and it's just the way you communicate becomes such a core part of your identity also.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So I think language plays a major role. Verbal, non-verbal communication, everything matters a lot. And because it is so integral to our well-being, to be able to communicate healthily with other humans, to have long-lasting relationships, I think it's very important to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can relate so much with what you just mentioned, because when I was in school, I was in a convent school, a Christian school, and discipline was the foremost important thing there.
Right.
So we were fined or punished for speaking a lot or
Yeah.
creating nuisance. So
Yeah.
I became very quiet during my
Right.
school years,
Right.
and it took me so much effort to come out of that.
Yeah.
That personality. It took me like 7 to 8 years to really start, comfortably conversing with people outside. When I was in the US also, it took me so
Right.
much effort to go out and talk to
Right.
people and, have even leadership skills.
Yeah.
So it's so much important that, we are aware about the impact of
Yeah.
all these things from the very early age as well.
Right.
So I totally agree with you that, whatever communities we belong to, wherever we go, have so much lasting impact on our
Yeah.
personalities, on our
Yeah.
attitude, and so many things about us.
Right.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. We'll also talk about the deep impact of some of the very basic words that we, very casually say, like man up or don't cry,
Right.
or everything will be fine. So what makes them so powerful? These small words we just casually say, right? But I think there is so much power to them. So I would like to hear your perception on that.
Absolutely. While we are growing up, also once we're growing up, right, factors are influencing on us, right?
Right.
When we're growing up, first it's parents, family, then it becomes peers, friends, people around, schools, teachers. Sometimes, a lot of people, they remember vividly word to word what a teacher said to them when they were in 5th standard, when
That
they
is
couldn't
true.
do that homework,
Yes.
when there was something happening at home. And that word is stuck. Those sentences are stuck in the mind of the person for so many years, even after being an adult. And it's almost like वो शब्द अभी भी गूंजते हैं दिमाग में बुरे
That is
टाइम
true.
में,
Yeah.
right? So it has a very profound impact because the people who are impacting us, right, their words can definitely make or break us, because it becomes our internalized narrative, our inner voice of how we are perceiving ourselves as well. So sometimes, when the time is bad, our mind immediately goes back to all the things that were said that were not very kind.
True.
Yeah. So it definitely, and culturally also, we don't think too much. I think the culture of ठहर जाना, सोचना, धीरे response करना, tone का ध्यान रखना, trying to be kind in our communication, thinking before speaking, it's just not normalized. I think
it's not normalized. Yeah.
It's absolutely not normalized. And जो लोग ऐसे बात करते हैं थोड़े सोच समझ के धीरे, I think people who are soft spoken, mindful, they're also sometimes seen as not good communicators, because good communicators we associate with people who are outspoken, loud, confident. But I think mindful communication jo karte hain, maybe they are not really rewarded in the same way, because we are seeing it in a very superficial lens.
That is true. Yeah.
But we have to imbibe those qualities, because we never know how our words impact people. Yeah, absolutely. In every conversation, we should learn how to take pauses before responding. And uh, we are constantly projecting our fears when we're talking to people, right? Like, let's say, um, if, let me think of an example. Let's say if a son wants to take up humanities and the father is an engineer, right? Um, and the father says, ये कौन से औरतों वाला stream ले लिया,
Yeah, then
right?
correct. Yeah.
Right. Or, and that person can grow up feeling less than, even in the profession that really calls out to them and they value, right? So not just that, we're constantly, even if this person's own outlook was not that way, right? But those words are stuck because it's coming from someone who can actually influence you very deeply,
True.
right? Even in the workspaces, we are, sometimes before giving the feedback, the good leaders, I think the best leaders in the corporate space, they pause, they think, they buy time to respond. They're not trying to play the character of a leader. They don't have much to prove. I would say that. That's my belief system. A lot of the good leaders that I've seen are that way. But a lot of people, because there is that pressure of showing up as a leader, having that aura, having that personality, they can come off, they can be very, the words they use there, it's not very mindful. It can be full of irritation. It can be snapping, sometimes being irritable, saying unkind things, threatening people with PIPs, things like that.
And those examples are everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say a majority.
Absolutely. Because that's how the culture has taught us, like you said, right?
Yeah.
A person who's called a good communicator, who has all these traits, right? Who is able to put their perspective ahead of others' perspectives or above others' perspective.
Yeah.
So, which is again not a mindful conversation or not a mindful way of putting your thoughts out.
Yeah.
But that's how society has, rewarded that communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that is true. And, we will also like to learn, like you have been, practicing from a trauma-informed lens. Also, we would like to make it really simple for our audience. What really is a trauma-informed lens? And, how do clients usually discover these invisible scars? Like we mentioned, we talked about the scars that we have from our childhood when someone said, two little words, like you mentioned, ki kaun sa ortho wala stream le liya, or, something else. So how does that kind of therapy works from a trauma-informed lens? We would like to know more about that.
I think all good therapy is trauma-informed. That's something I would say. All good therapists are trauma-informed. But it's a lens of looking at how systemic issues, how abuse, violence, how extreme circumstances, and not just like you witnessed an earthquake or not just that, so when we think of trauma, we are thinking of usually veterans and army personnel.
That is true.
Who are fighting for the country.
Yeah.
And initially the understanding of trauma came from that population. Because
and that's why I also wanted to know that what really is when it comes to therapy, because the same thing comes to my mind as well.
Right, absolutely. So a lot of, when the concept was perceived of post-traumatic stress disorder, the studies were initiated on the army personnel, the military, and the criteria for PTSD was developed. So eventually, now in the mainstream conversation, CPTSD is coming in, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, where it may be possible that it was not one scarring, major, extreme situation, or maybe it, in the society's view, your circumstances were not extreme, but for you, your experience of it was very, very intense, right? So it can be domestic violence, right?
True.
Like let's say you're an only child, or let's say even if you have a sibling, right? In childhood, you've grown up in a household where parents are constantly fighting. One parent is hitting the other parent. A parent is an alcoholic. There are extreme financial instability. There is constant suffering of some nature that is bound to impact the body, the mind, the worldview, the perspective of a person.
Absolutely.
So a trauma-informed lens is acknowledging that yes, your circumstances have been challenging and difficult, and let's understand how it impacts you today and how to ensure that the damage that it's done is contained so that it doesn't continue to impact every consequent relationship,
Interesting.
situation, choices. And इसका छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल दे सकती हूँ. Let's say if there is someone who's working for a company, right, and they have a great relationship with their employer, but the employer is giving opportunities to other people and taking this individual for granted. And now this person has grown up in a household where there was a lot of screaming, shouting. The messaging was, your needs are not important, right? This person might struggle to put up, in the corporate space, you need to put your foot strongly. You need to be assertive.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it can be absolutely jarring for this person, So understanding all of these patterns and these behaviors and how to integrate them and how to be self-aware, how to have some tools to navigate the challenges that are a result of difficult, complex situations. Yeah.
Interesting. And how does such a person unlearn all these, internalized language or the trauma that they have been through? How do they navigate through it?
I think psychotherapy, and it's difficult to sum up all of it, but
true, absolutely, yeah.
I can try to simplify it. I think it starts with a person. When you're younger, you usually feel the pressure to abide by family and abide by the people around. When you grow up, when you go to college, high school,
right,
you start comparing families. You start seeing other people and their families' contexts. And a sense comes in, this was not my experience.
True.
My experience was very different from this. Then you start questioning. And then you go on Instagram, there is so much content on trauma and therapy and all of that. So people start relating to things that they see on Instagram. Then they ask questions, then they go on YouTube, then they listen to longer podcasts and they're like, okay, I relate to this. Sometimes they come to therapy, great, and then they find help there. Sometimes they try to cope up with it by themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard to cope up by the self because no matter how self-aware one is, everyone has blind spots.
Absolutely.
And the blind spots that are a result of trauma are big, right? So it's encouraged to go to therapy and it starts with grieving the life that you wish you could have had because maybe some very basic things were missing from your life that a child needs or an adolescent needs to feel secure while growing up, So you grieve that loss and then you try to shape the kind of future you wish to have. And a very big part of the conversation is you learn to understand and heal your body because the body gets very dysregulated, the nervous system gets very dysregulated. Even if there is there are situations where the other people are irritated, but they're not really falling apart, ki my entire world is coming apart. But for the person who has trauma, it can feel like my entire world is falling apart whenever there is a smaller trigger, also relatively smaller trigger.
Right.
That's very subjective. So, yeah. So we learn how to accommodate the body, how to regulate it, how to feel safe in our bodies as adults. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's such a important thing that every podcast or every conversation we do with different people from the industry, there's always something that comes out and that encourages people to, why therapy is important and why you cannot cope up with them, some certain things with yourself and why you should go out and seek help. And I think this is, again, a very important and different perspective that people in our audience should listen to and, also acknowledge that, therapy is something who is given by professionals and is definitely help available. And, rather than struggling by yourself, because like you said, there are definitely blind spots. And when people are navigating by themselves, they get stuck in those thoughts. It's like a endless chain. So I think therapy can really break you through those thoughts and you can come out and, gain a lot from that. So
absolutely.
I think that's such an important perspective. And thank you for sharing that, Srishti. Also, you founded Words for Mental Health, which certainly focuses on shifting how we speak. So can you share some insights from the initiatives on why positivity can sometimes become toxic? We say positive things all the time, but can that also become toxic, and how can that become toxic?
I think toxic positivity is a very it's a spoken about thing these days.
Hmm.
Luckily, people are identifying it. It's a way of brushing things under the carpet till the carpet doesn't start to fall apart.
Right.
Basically that's what we're doing when like it's like a like हाथ टूट गया और हम बैंडेड लगा रहे हैं उस पे,
Hmm.
right? So it's a very shallow way of navigating challenges. It's a very shallow way of supporting each other. Like many times, let's say someone loses a family member they've loved so much, and we say, hey, just look at the positive side. They've lived their entire life, or at least they didn't die of cancer, or they are in a better place, they are in heaven. But the experience of the person is, it's hard for me. It's very
Right.
difficult. I am grieving. I am going to grieve for 6 months, 1 year, and I'm going to carry that grief for the rest of my life. Even the grief might not be as intense in the future, but a part of it I am going to carry, and that's absolutely okay. It's absolutely normal. But when we um, say things like get your act together, or think positive thoughts are important, like only if you think positive good things will happen. But ऐसे तो anyone who's anxious would have never accomplished anything, but that's not true. We see people who are high functioning, who have anxiety, and yet they are successful in their
Right.
respective fields. So I think toxic positivity is absolutely ingrained in the fabric of our culture. It is something that we should be very careful about not to impose it on other people. And we need to learn to be comfortable with uncomfortable emotions in ourselves and in the other people. So that might be missing from.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we get so uncomfortable when someone is sad or grieving that we
Yeah.
try to say things which
Yeah.
which are positive,
Yeah.
but again might not be taken very well by the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Sometimes it's okay to just sit in silence with a person, or say,
Yeah.
hey, I don't know how to help you. What can I do to make you feel better right now? Or if you want to cry about this, cry. I'm here. Let me get you a box of sugar-free chocolate.
Hmm.
Let's sit. You can cry if you want to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And you've also worked with corporates and diverse communities. How can non-violent communication practices help workplaces or families shift from blame and judgment to empathy and connection?
Non-violent communication, it's a book, basically. It is for corporate professionals. Anyone who wants to read it can read it. It was something that really caught my attention because, wow, like I came across the book in 2023. And ultimately, as I mentioned in the beginning, how we relate to each other, it comes through communication, conversation. And again, we're projecting so much bias. So we need to keep our prejudices in check also. And if we look at our culture around the language of abusive language, and and even if it's not directly abusive language, there is also indirect things that are very passive aggressive that we try to pull off every other day. Even if we are not being abusive in our language towards someone, we can still be very, very passive aggressive, still make the person feel very
Absolutely,
uncomfortable. We can give backhanded compliments. We can do a lot of these things that can count as microaggressions almost, that passive aggressiveness, small attacks on people, here and there, taking a jab. Like, for example, I was talking to a friend recently, right? And this friend, she got married to her long-term partner. So she found out that one of her, now this is not one of my clients because I won't discuss any of that. This is one of my friends that I'm talking about. So one of their mutual friends had commented, उसने उससे शादी कर ली, मुझे तो लगा छोड़ देगा. And she felt quite hurt by that language, So why, when someone's happily married and settled, why do we have such strong opinions? Why are we keeping such opinions forth that we know are going to bother people,
Right.
that are not kind in nature. And if someone is kind, then we think that, oh, they're a sissy, or they're, they are someone we can dominate, they are someone we can, disrespect. But I think, especially with our loved ones, with people we meet every day, we should take that pause before any comments.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. And I've come across so many people who do that.
Yeah.
And it's just that, even if I don't know if they really want to do it, or it's something that they have just become how they are.
Yeah.
They just tend to do that.
Yeah.
And it's different kind of people
Yeah.
everywhere. So yeah, you're absolutely right that these small things do really impact.
Yeah.
And, from the childhood, when we have those, like you said, we have memories,
Yeah.
certain things, whenever something happens, you just remember that.
Yeah.
And there are certain words, even though I was so small, I still remember
Absolutely.
that my father said that.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 words,
Yeah.
but I don't remember a lot around that
Yeah.
incident, but those 2 words are still there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and very often in my dreams, or, whenever I'm talking to someone, they just pop up.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and I think every conversation we have, there's so much to learn for me as well. And this conversation as well, I could relate to so many things, and how small thing like language, we use it every day,
Yeah.
but how using that language can have so much impact
Yeah.
from your childhood, and can
Yeah.
have lasting impacts
Yeah.
throughout your adulthood, and even, after that.
Right.
So it's wonderful. And thank you for this beautiful conversation, and so much to learn from it. Thank you, Srishti.
Thank you, Shashank.
Yeah. And now, we have a fun round, rapid fire round. So
Okay.
I'll ask you a question, and then you can answer it. Doesn't need to be a small 1 word or 2 word, but, we can have conversation around that. So instead of don't overreact, what's more validating way to say it?
I can see that you're feeling strong emotions right now. We'll talk about this. Can you have a sip of water first? Yeah.
Wow. From all your roles, therapist, researcher, advocate, what's the single biggest lesson you have learned about the power of words?
They are just the basis of life, and just deliberation makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. In just 1 word, how would you describe the impact of compassionate language?
Okay, so people will feel safer around you. Safety. I
Yeah.
would say safety in relationships. That's what.
Got it.
Yeah.
For someone realizing how that language has shaped their scars, what's the safe first step to begin healing?
Write down everything that was said to you, and that would be on one side. Pick 2-3 people you really trust who are unbiased, non-judgmental, kind. Ask them to describe you, and then write down the words that they used to describe you. Okay, and try to internalize that. And even on bad days, these words that people have told you will sort of come back. But we have to keep practicing talking to ourselves with the words that people are,
Interesting.
describing us. And we also get to define who we are as an adult. So keep that in mind always.
And writing is such an important, I think,
Tool.
practice, right? It's such an important tool. Every conversation we have, writing just comes up that, you need to write stuff.
Absolutely.
Write your thoughts, write what you feel about yourself, write what others feel about you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can we talk a little bit about, how writing and why writing has such an important impact on ourselves?
Right. Absolutely. I feel that when thoughts are up in our mind, they feel like 10,000 different things. And when we are triggered, it just keeps escalating from one thing to the other. But when you put it down from paper to pen, it just starts getting contained on the paper, right? It stops feeling like 10,000 different things. It starts feeling like, okay, right now I'm struggling with this, and I'm filling one page with this particular thing, right? And so many times we are able to help ourselves through journaling and writing down, because we are also inherently wise and we are capable of knowing ourselves better. But when we leave it up in our minds, sometimes we lose touch with that capability in that moment, but while we write down, we're able to get in touch with that capability more as we keep writing. So I think that is why it is impactful.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that we are forgetting. Like,
Yeah.
people are even writing less
Yeah.
as we are getting more and more advanced.
Yeah.
So for some reason, this beautiful practice of writing is getting lost. But I think so much encouragement is needed, so much awareness is needed around the impact of writing with the community.
This reminded me, one of my seniors, while I was working at AIMS, we were reporting to her. She was a psychiatrist. She is a psychiatrist. She would always tell us, bring a paper and pen, bring a notebook, have a, professional journal. And it was quite helpful, things used to be quite disorganized, but then, that system was developed of writing everything down, not just an Excel sheet, but just writing down.
Right.
We have so many ideas across the day, right? Like we can be inspired by just about anything. Like just in this conversation, I can think of 10 things that I can talk about on my Instagram page.
Yeah.
So let's not lose what is valuable. Let's put things down to paper and pen, not on the to-do list or the notes of your phone. It's okay to do things old school. And I think you're able to also remember better when you're using paper and pen. Your memory, things do get stored. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So next question, right?
Yeah.
If there was one phrase or mindset you wish everyone listening would adopt after this episode, what would it be?
Right. It would be to know you are very powerful and influential in the lives of your loved ones. So let's respect that influence and that power that comes with love and community and belonging and friendship. And let's slow down and let's be more mindful of the words we use, of our tonality, of how we speak, and how we handle other people's insecurities and difficult times.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that finishes up the rapid fire round as well. So thank you very much, Srishti. It was very nice talking to you again.
It was nice talking to you, Shashank.
Thank you. That was such a powerful conversation with Srishti. What really stands out is how words we often use very casually without much thought can leave invisible scars, but also open doors to healing. It's a reminder that language isn't just communication, it's connection, and the way we speak to each other can either silence or support. A heartfelt thank you to Srishti for sharing her wisdom, her journey, and for showing us how compassion in words can create safer space for growth, expression, and recovery. If you'd like to know more about her work, the links are in the show notes. And if today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need the reminder that even small shifts in language can make a big difference. Until next time, stay gentle with your words, stay open in your conversations, and most importantly, take care of yourself and those around you. Thank you.